go for it even if you don't feel like you're ready for it. And ready is not a feeling, it's a decision that you're never going to be fully ready for anything in this life. You're really not. You're not going to have the right resources, the right mentorship, the right direction, the right path. Once you make the decision to move forward on something in your life, whether it be a business, whether it be a pursuit, whether it be your family, whatever decision you make in this life, once you've decided, you are ready. Because the universe will always align with those who put themselves out there and go for it. Yes, you might have more stumbling blocks or more challenges than the person next to you. Everybody's path is different, but always remember, ready is not a feeling, it's a decision.
Welcome to this week's As Unexpected podcast, when we talk to C-suite executives, entrepreneurs, and philanthropists about how they lead into the future when the future generally goes as unexpected. I'm Scott Marshall, your host, and my own professional experience has made me a believer that it's not how you show up when all goes as planned, but it is how you show up when things go as unplanned. Given all of their experiences, each of our guests has become very attuned to the fact that the future is not to be predicted. My hope is that this podcast can help all of you become better leaders by building the core leadership capabilities for leading in an uncertain world. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of As Unexpected. This is Scott Marshall, and today I have a creator, an innovator, a networker, a builder, an entrepreneur par excellence, and a true global citizen. Christine, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Scott. Always a pleasure to connect with you. I appreciate the invite.
Yeah. Well, gosh, we haven't met in person yet, but it's going to happen. I'm confident it's going to happen.
Yeah, I feel like we've known each other for a while, though. I mean, that's the thing with the digital universe, right? You interact enough times, you feel like you know the person, right? So but it's nice to connect again.
Yes, indeed. Well, thanks for taking the time today. It'd be great, Christine, if you could just give the listeners some background, because it's rich and diverse and creative, as I framed it for earlier, and then really talk about your current work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my work and my background spans borders, as you so eloquently put it. But, I'm just, a girl who, grew up in the Caribbean, was raised around the world, traveled to 60 countries with a sole mission of helping entrepreneurs launch profitable but impact-led businesses. I think we'll get into this conversation later, but I am tired of seeing the saddest of stories regarding the entrepreneurs of today. I think entrepreneurs are meant to inspire and innovate and really motivate people to solve challenges with impact and integrity. And so that is my sole mission, to help the next generation of entrepreneurs launch and succeed with impact. That's a little bit about my work. But in terms of me personally, from my name, Christine Souffrant Ntim, you could tell it's very global, right? Born in the US, grew up in Haiti, travel across Ghana, and across the world. It's been a real incredible journey, building a global business and helping other entrepreneurs to do the same.
That's amazing. Let's go back in history a little bit. Where did the seed of this inspiration come from? Like, when did you say, I'm going to be an entrepreneur? I'm going to help entrepreneurs. What was that first step forward?
Yeah, and I think, our entrepreneur is born or our entrepreneur is made. I think I had the best of both worlds, because I knew I was always very entrepreneurial from a very young age. My parents told me that. My family told me that. But all the women in my family are entrepreneurs. My grandmother launched her entrepreneurship journey selling food in the streets of Haiti as our street restaurant business, right? My aunts, did hair braiding and hairstyles in the streets of Port-au-Prince into the States. And my mom was the first to immigrate to the US and really pretty much do a completely different artwork showcase of Haitian artwork trading back and forth between the US and Haiti in the Caribbean. So being around a group of female entrepreneurs who, by the way, define entrepreneurship in different ways, because I think we have a brick and mortar sense of entrepreneurship right now with the digital space. We talk a lot about digital entrepreneurship, but I got to see business in different formats. I saw street entrepreneurship, digital entrepreneurship, brick and mortar entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship of any kind was something that was a part of my entire DNA growing up. And so for me, by the time I got to college, I was running multiple small businesses. And it wasn't until I exited corporate. I did quit corporate. I did go into a corporate career, loved it, got promoted 2 or 3 times in that career, but left after 2.5 years to pursue my first business, my first startup. And within 2 years, that business became a case study at Harvard Business School. That business, got me on the Forbes list. But more importantly, I was able to build and scale that business with limited resources. And that's something that I try to talk a lot about. I think a lot of entrepreneurs think that they need to raise capital and do all of the things in a grandiose type of way. Small beginnings can have a huge impact down the line if you're passionate and committed. So that's been my journey in entrepreneurship in terms of being exposed to resilient entrepreneurs who do not stop in the face of adversity. That was my background coming up.
Resilience, some inspiration by your mother and grandmother, and this persistence and grit, all of that really, really sings true. And currently, you do a lot of work in Ghana, but not just there. That's sort of your base of operations on the African continent, correct?
Yeah, so our work spans about 95 plus countries around the world. So obviously Africa is a huge dominant market because 1 in 4 people in the future, the workforce of the future is going to be on the African continent. So usually when we think about entrepreneurship, we talk about just building a business. We don't think about disrupting the workforce. Entrepreneurship, small businesses, as you know, Scott, is the backbone of any economy, whether you're in the UK, the US, Ghana, Nigeria, wherever you are in the world. Small businesses power the economy. And so we saw huge uptake in the African market. So we launched obviously in the fastest market at the time, which is Ghana, for our office space for the African continent. So that's where we do a lot of talent development programs. But really our consumer base is targeting that market anyway. And we believe that's the future, to be honest with you. I think, Western markets are really tapping into a global workforce now. And so we are right where innovation is going. I always tell people, don't just find where the puck is, find where the puck is going. And we see that as the future of just tech, innovation, and business in general. And so that's why we do a lot there. But globally, we are in multiple markets. We're based out of New York. That's where we're headquartered. Our work spans, like I said, 95 countries. And specifically, our flagship program. So I'm the founder and CEO of the Global Startup Ecosystem, which is the world's first and largest digital accelerator platform for entrepreneurs. Our flagship program is helping entrepreneurs launch digitally online. We accelerate 1,000 companies every single year to do that. We teach them the fundamentals of building a business and to do it again with integrity, with purpose, with passion, and more importantly, with resiliency, because entrepreneurship is easier and more in one way, but it's also harder because it's more saturated, right? And so we try to help them navigate that journey that is very difficult right now, which is entrepreneurship.
There's a couple things I want to emphasize that you said. Number one, Ghana is one, major base. You started there. If anybody has not been to Ghana, they got to go.
Yes.
Beautiful country, beautiful culture, the batik patterns, the music. I mean, there is just an energy that is, you can feel it, you can smell it, you can touch it there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to first highlight that because I've been there a number of times. Love going there. Second is, for those of you who didn't catch Global Startup Ecosystems, clearly look up Christine on LinkedIn and so forth, but that is her platform. That's an amazing organization, the work she's doing. So let's go to the heart of the podcast, Christine. And I'm guessing along this journey as an entrepreneur, you've faced many unexpected turns, obstacles, barriers. You clearly have the resilience to get through them, but it's so important for people to hear stories of how they did get through the unexpected. And so if you have a story or two to share, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have battle scars as entrepreneurs. There's so much I could highlight, the bruises. Sometimes you don't want to talk about it. But I would say probably for me, when I look at my journey as an entrepreneur, it's been at this point over 10 years. It's crazy that I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years consistently with 3 different businesses that I've launched and scaled and, really brought to market. Probably the most unexpected really is becoming a mom, not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times. As of 8 weeks ago, 5 times. Okay.
Whoa!
A wife and a mother of 5. And for my ladies on this podcast, one of the biggest things that people talk about is entrepreneurship setbacks from the business fundamental sense. But now, how do you marry entrepreneurship with your lifestyle? And that's something that for me, talk about unexpected turns, becoming a mother 5 times. That's mean I am pregnant half the time, I'm on maternity half the time, and yet I'm still dominating global conversations. I'm still at the UN, I'm still at Davos, I'm still at Forbes, I'm still building a scale on my business while building a global brand. Here's what I will give you, probably the first unexpected reality that really fueled my entire journey of entrepreneurship. And I'm so grateful for it, is when I became a mother for the first time. Prior to becoming a mother, my first business, I launched it in 2014. I became pregnant with our firstborn in 2015. And I remember I was already, blazing the scene, getting accolades left, right, and center. And when I became pregnant, I recognized that I would not be able to travel as much, do as much, but I still was, as an entrepreneur in that go-getter spirit, you still go out there. I remember I went to a women's entrepreneurship program event. Okay. And I remember getting off the elevator and all the ladies who were also attending that event looking at me as if I was out of place. Okay. And we went into the room, and I'm just sitting in the back. The event is going. No one acknowledged me. No one said anything. It's almost like no one wanted to network. Mind you, I'm at a women's program. And I remember I was ignored for the entire duration of the program until about 30 minutes into the end of the program. They called the next speaker and they say, please welcome to the stage, Christine and Tim. These ladies and this audience didn't know that I was one of the guest speakers for the event. Went to the stage, did my thing, gave my wisdom, and then at the end of the program, completely overrun with questions and people wanted to network and talk. Why do I share that? There's 2 things that was unexpected about the experience. One, how people could become very judgmental at different phases of your journey of entrepreneurship, even the people that you expect to support you the most. And second, the decisions that you have to make as a person to not take it personal, to still move forward and add value to those you want to serve, no matter what. Since then, I've had that situation happen many times over and over because
one more time
it happened, right? But I've learned to understand that entrepreneurship is going to be a journey where you're going to have highs and lows. But if there's any advice I'll give people is never take things personally. You are going to be your own trailblazers, or you're going to build and scale a phenomenal business. But don't let people's judgments, don't let people's, discernment about you dictate how you show up, because you do your best as an entrepreneur and the rest will fall into place. And I've learned that the hard way, but it's been a very crazy journey balancing family and business together. And I definitely advise, go for it. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it.
This episode of As Unexpected is sponsored in part by Semester at Sea, a study abroad program for college students and adults on career breaks, sabbaticals, or retired, interested in learning and exploring the world together. Learn more about the Lifelong Learner program at www.semesteratSea.org. So this story you told, if we could kind of go into that a bit more, clearly I'm not a woman. I'm a father of 2. My wife was the one who was pregnant, not me. So I can't ever even pretend to be looking through those eyes.
Yeah.
And so I want to be careful how I say this, but given who I am, I would have assumed that one of the most supportive environments for you to walk into would be a women's entrepreneurial forum, and not to be embraced immediately because you're there not just as a woman, but someone who is pregnant at the time, and be impressed and embraced for it. So can you share with me why you think, first of all, you shared that it was unexpected for you. So how did you internalize that at the time? Before you went up and spoke, how did you sort of work through that as you sat through the event?
I think this goes back to you understanding that, and this is probably a bigger problem in the entrepreneurship space. we're used to a certain vision of what success looks like. We're used to seeing successful people look in a certain way. And to be honest with you, being a woman of color, being a woman who's pregnant, I fit all the different periphery examples of not the typical successful entrepreneur who is on the Forbes list, building and scaling company, a global speaker, a global force. Like, you would not anticipate that I represent so much. And quite frankly, I'm very chill. Like, I don't put that in people's faces. Like, to be honest with you, like, it's usually people who's reminding me of some of the accolades I have. And the reason why I even force, my husband tells me all this all the time, Christine, you don't do enough to promote in basic conversation how badass you are. He tells me this all the time. And I say this because why should I? I just want to vibe a person. I want to get to know someone. So at the time, I actually wasn't mad. I was more so sad that this is the state of the world that we're living in, but it taught me a valuable lesson that, look, like, if you could build resilience, not just in terms of resources for your business, but in terms of how you receive interactions with people. I mean, you're going to fundraise and people are just going to reject your business idea. You're going to go out to the media and pitch your idea and then you're going to think your story's not worth mentioning, right? You're always going to be in the mode of presenting yourself to new stakeholders and new audiences as an entrepreneur. And people are going to judge you at face value. And a lot of times for the worse, right? Especially in this economy where trust is broken. A lot of our idols have, especially entrepreneurs, CEOs, have violated trust in many different ways. Why would anyone assume that this pregnant woman is who she says she is until they see it unfold? So I didn't personalize it at the time. Again, I was more so sad, but I recognized that, you know what, I should be doing this engagements. I got to put myself out there so that way the next time, hopefully, if they do see a pregnant woman, that they're like, oh, she's balancing it all. Let me ask her how she's doing it. Let me figure out how I could do that. Because I do think that entrepreneurship is such a grueling experience for you to pick as a career motive in your life. You're constantly in a state of limbo trying to figure things out. And to balance that with building a family and doing all this on the side, I think it's like, I'm hoping that, you know, the best thing I could do is set an example, really, at that point. But yeah, it's really internal sadness that changed over time, but it taught me a lot to just keep going.
Thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing it. And
I didn't think I would.
And your husband's right. You're badass. So let's just make that really clear for everybody who's listening. She's badass.
Thank you.
But she's not so badass that others can't do it as well. And I think one of the beautiful things about what your work is you're trying to inspire others to be equally as badass as you are.
Yes. Like, I go as far past the stars, past the moon, past the galaxy. Like, I am always so excited when someone comes back with it. Christine, you taught us how to fundraise and raise $250,000 in 6 months. I just did it in a week. I just did it in a month. Like, that excites me when the blueprints that we put out there is making people have greater success and greater momentum faster. Because that's the point of mentorship, right? Where you're letting people learn from your battle scars and your lessons so that way they could find greatness, fulfillment, and success, not so much faster, but easier. Because I tend to tell people, if you're interacting with me, I want you to deal with new challenges that are different from mine. I hope that my legacy teaches you the solutions that you don't have to repeat the same mistakes, that you can learn new mistakes and hopefully move the paradigm shift in the way that we want to see the world to be, right? And that's my hope. I'm really passionate about that because I feel like, especially right now, you say unexpected. I think there's too many moments of unexpected experiences right now. I think we're overwhelmed, we're overconsumed, we're overstimulated because nothing is what it seems anymore, Scott. I'm sure you could see that in your personal life, in your business and professional career. And so having the stability of having someone be consistent and show up, let the unexpected be the better things in life. So that way we can navigate with them.
I love it. Yeah. And, in our roles as people with, positions of authority and presenting in leadership roles, that steadiness, that consistency is so important. It's always been important, right? It's always been important. But to your point, the context of today just emphasizes how important that steadiness is, the consistency, and how we present ourselves and how we present what our work is and our purpose is. I 100% agree with you. this is a great point, actually, and what a fitting time to transition to this quote. So the book I'm reading from is Identity Leadership by Stedman Graham. And I picked it out on page 21, and I just think it's so fitting for everything you've said so far. So I'm going to read it to you,
Okay.
and then I'd like to hear your response to it. It is when we are fully operating in the gifts that we have been given that we are most fulfilled.
Mm.
And when we operate in those gifts, we come up with more opportunities because the world opens up to us when it sees our full potential.
So you want to hear my reaction to that?
Yeah.
My first reaction, I'm a little bit emotional because I think a lot of people don't live to see that come into fruition in their lives. And when I heard that quote, when you kind of like, obviously, like you manifest your talents so the world could see that gift and that potential publicly. When I think about where I am today, I am so incredibly grateful that I got to see several times now the extent of my talent to the world. I got to witness that. I've seen that the launch of my first business and what it's done to inspire generations. I've seen that probably most recently, like I'm of Haitian descent, through a summit that I launched called Haiti Tech Summit, where it completely rallied and not only an entire nation, where the president was there, but to this day, I still see people like, I can't believe an event did this over the past 10 years, right? I'm able to see some of the things that I've done in my career entrepreneurially to really inspire others. And I think what I would say is you got to be unapologetically you in order for that to manifest itself. Because it's tapping into your talent, it's tapping into your passion, it's tapping into things that you didn't expect to showcase your greatness. That's why I love that quote so much, because the things that I've done in my career, if I were to listen to our mentor, and this is so crazy that I'm in a place of leadership and mentorship, but sometimes you're not supposed to listen. Just FYI, right? And to elaborate on that, the reason why the quote resonates with me is because a lot of times those who've come before you will tell you all the things that you shouldn't do because, again, they're going based on expertise, they're going based on experience, they're based on structure. But what the world needs now is disruptive leadership that comes from the heart that you yourself didn't even know was there. So all I would say in response to that, not so much be a renegade and a rebel, but trust your heart more. Trust your instinct more. Because your heart and your instinct, I know it sounds high level, fluffy, but I'm being very real about this. Is an inner voice inside of you that's telling you what you really want to do inside. And a lot of times I think we've perverted monetization. We've perverted clout. We've perverted branding to the point where people think everything has to be a 5-star representation online. Don't think that far. Don't listen to everyone. If someone tells you go down X path, but your heart is telling you go down Y path, go down Y. Just do that. Go for it, because you just never know what you're going to bring to the world. Half the time, a lot of things that I do, I never expect the outcome. I just put it out there because I feel like this is what's right. And the world aligns. And I don't know how to explain it to you, Scott, but talk about being unexpected. My best endeavors in my life were the ones that I went against the grain because my heart told me to go for it and not the world. Be out of this world and just go for things, please. Like, it's such a powerful quote. Hopefully you could.
Yeah, I really, I get a little bit emotional about this too, because I now work for this small nonprofit that every day is a hard day to keep the ship running, keep the kids coming onto the ship. Revenue's hard, the world's complex, and I took a big leap away from the security of being a professor of business into this small nonprofit. But it fits exactly into what you're saying, and that this is where my full potential could be realized, where my full purpose could be realized. And so taking the jump and having my family relocated. All of what you're saying just resonates so deeply with me personally and professionally. And it's hard, right? There's a lot of people for whom that feels too risky. But risk is where you realize who you really are.
Yes. There's a beautiful saying that sometimes your only mode of transportation is a leap of faith. I think there's no timeline to greatness. You might not realize that potential in the timeline that you expected, but as long as you're operating your truth, something is going to reveal itself to you and to the people that you serve. There's someone out there that needs what you're doing that you might not ever know immediately, but one day it will showcase itself to you. So entrepreneurship is a medium to do that, right? Some people is nonprofit work. Some people is, through church. Some people is through working at an organization. Whatever your medium of executing on that talent and that legacy, don't take it for granted. Because at least you're living to try to fulfill that potential, to try to put that out there. It's a great opportunity.
Yeah, Christine, you just made me think of this quote that I've always been troubled by. And I think you've helped me reframe it. Really, hopefully it works. So the quote you've probably heard is, luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yes.
It could very well be luck is when purpose meets opportunity.
Oh, that's deep.
How's that? Does that work?
No, that's so beautifully said. And I think, Scott, hearing your journey and hearing what you've been through, I know more about you through your impact work than your previous profession, funny enough. Right. So we are speaking literally, we're speaking and we're living out what we're saying right now in this session, right? That you just don't know how people will see you. And I do think there's a balance to it, right? Don't deplete yourself for the cause. I don't think we need to do full we live in a world where there's a lot of different ways to cushion your existence to be able to do the right thing to fit your talents. Definitely there's a balance to it, right? And there will be periods of intense sacrifice. I think those periods are important to reveal character, as you stated. But if anyone needed to hear this right now, please just keep going, right? Just keep going, because you just never know. You started something. You went down this path for a reason. And the last thing I will say is, you may not have the right explanation for everyone around you that's asking you those questions. That's the thing about passion and purpose. You don't have all the answers in the beginning. It's not till you look back. And that's why you asked me in hindsight, how did I feel in that moment? Because looking back, it was all planned out. But that's where bravery comes in. You're moving forward with the faith that you're going to get to that end point and reveal to the world what you truly have to offer. And the world needs that. So
it does indeed. So Christine, you've already offered lots of advice. Mm-hmm. We're nearing our time here, and I know that there's a grand finale. If you could leave our listeners with that one piece of advice, you could speak to any audience, whether it be young women or young women of color or the people of Haiti or the people of or just everybody, early career professionals, whoever it is you want to speak to give a piece of advice, who would it be and what would you say?
Oh my God, that's loaded. There's so much I can say, right? But I think the last thing I will leave you with is just go for it, even if you don't feel like you're ready for it. And I'll probably end with a quote, because one thing that I saw on social the other day and that really touched me, I thought it was so perfect. Ready is not a feeling, it's a decision. That you're never going to be fully ready for anything in this life. You're really not. You're not going to have the right resources, the right mentorship, the right direction, the right path. Once you make the decision to move forward on something in your life, whether it be a business, whether it be a pursuit, whether it be your family, whatever decision you make in this life, once you've decided, you are ready, right? Because the universe will always align with those who put themselves out there and go for it. Yes, you might have more stumbling blocks or more challenges than the person next to you. Maybe that person's path was A to B and yours is A, Z, Y, and all the above. It's fine. Everybody's path is different, but always remember, ready is not a feeling, it's a decision. So think about the decisions that you are making today, make them and move forward with energy and faith. And I wish each and every one of you the very best, because I have seen so much beauty in people going for their dreams and aspirations, especially as entrepreneurs. I cannot wait to see what your audience unfolds, right? And let the unexpected happen. We'll see what happens, right? So, yeah.
Right on. You are abundance, Christine. It's awesome to speak to you again. Thank you for the time. Congratulations on number 5.
Thank you.
Yeah, to you and your husband, of course. Enjoy your travels, treasure your family, and I look forward to seeing you in person.
Ditto. Till next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
This episode of As Unexpected is sponsored in part by Semester at Sea, a study abroad program where students visit 10 countries on 3 continents, all while taking 3 to 4 college classes through Colorado State University. See course offerings and upcoming voyage itineraries at www.semesteratsea.org. Thank you for joining this week's episode of the As Unexpected podcast. The viewpoints and opinions of featured guests do not necessarily represent those of the Institute for Shipboard Education or Semester at Sea. Hit the like button, share it with your colleagues, family, and friends, and remember, be curious, be compassionate, be courageous. That's what it takes to lead as unexpected.